Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. If you're new here, my name is Anthony. I'm a business profit advocate. On this show, we interview entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, and just people doing cool things. For example, today we're meeting Eric Cogorno, owner of Cogorno Golf. He's been teaching golf for 15 years, sharing his expertise on YouTube for the past 9 years. Beyond golf, Eric is deeply passionate about self-development and helping others achieve their full potential. How you doing today, Eric?
Mr. Anthony, I'm good, man. Couldn't be better. Appreciate you having me on. Love the I Know a Guy title and tagline there, and excited to chat today.
Yeah, no, I learned a little bit about you. I'm super excited. I think we talked, well offline that I kind of wish I would have gotten the golf instead of football in high school. I think it would have been a little easier on my body and something I'm still doing. So excited to hear a little bit about that. But to start off, where are you calling in from? Where you at?
Yeah, so I'm in Boca Raton, Florida. I split time between. I grew up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, so kind of like an hour outside of Philadelphia, and grew up there and still spend the summers there. And we moved down to South Florida, 2019, I think was our first year. So kind of doing the snowbird thing and trying to chase the nice weather.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I'm in Iowa, so I feel that exactly. It's like, okay, we want to not be here for the next, what's about to happen for the next few months. So I
Yeah,
get that.
exactly.
So what do you recommend people do if they're going down to visit you there in Florida?
Yeah, South Florida this time of year, man, like it's hard to beat. Very hot down in Florida during the summertime, but like November through April, it's just hard to beat. I went on this big road trip, Anthony, in 2019, did like a 6 month road trip in my car across the country. And part of that was to go film YouTube videos with other golf guys, but part of it was to find like a winter location that I really loved. And dude, I came down to Boca, it was January, had to be, I guess, 2019, and it was just like 80 and sunny every day, just like not humid, perfect temperature, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And so regardless of what someone is into, South Florida, whether you're a golf guy like me or fishing or vacation or whatever, it's not cheap to do, but hard to beat.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's certain parts in the winter when it's like -40 with wind chill, and I'm like, people are here on purpose, and I'm one of them, and I don't know why. And then
Yeah.
I hear stories like that, I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
I should just go.
It's
But
it's hard. It's not easy for guys like us. Like I grew up in Pennsylvania, right? My whole family's in Pennsylvania. All you know is that it's your hometown and or where you live, and it's hard to with normal work and job just get out of there. I've been very lucky, to have something I could do that I could travel a little bit and come down. But yeah, even if you can get out for a vacation or something, the sun and the warmth, and people being outside and doing stuff's just good for you, I think.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So, what can you tell us about what you're doing? You're doing a lot from the sounds of it, a little varied, but just in general, what do you got going on?
Yeah, man. So I'm 30, so I just turned 36. I started coaching golf when I was like 18, 19 years old. So I've been, teaching golf. That's kind of my main shtick. And I grew up playing sports, thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. That pipe dream ended when I was about 12. Turned into golf, fell in love with golf, went and played in college a little bit. And long story short, kind of stumbled my way into coaching and started giving golf lessons and was absolutely terrible at it in the beginning, like anybody is at the beginning of doing anything, and really led me to get obsessed, man. And I spent, my 20s, really my first like 5 or 10 years coaching, really trying to get great at the craft and like obsessed with just getting great at coaching. And got good enough where in 2016, 17, decided I wanted to start doing YouTube and sharing what I knew with an audience beyond just, in person one on one. And in 2016, YouTube wasn't what it is now. It wasn't fresh new, but it was newer. Like there wasn't so many people on there doing golf stuff. And so I thought there was an opportunity in the market to also take advantage of. And we posted our first YouTube video, Anthony, in January 1st, 2017. So we'll be going into our ninth year next year, and took our in-person golf coaching business. Yeah, I would coach one-on-one with people, and I kind of got stuck at like making 80, 90 grand a year, which I was pumped with. Nothing wrong with that. But we were able to do that into a 7 figure online golf coaching business, which has been awesome, and trying to coach people from around the world. And now that we're in year 8 with that, kind of had a similar arc like I had with the coaching, where I thought, hey, I'm going to get really great at coaching, and then I'll share it. And I feel like I've gotten like pretty good at now building like a social media and online business and stuff. Where now we're sort of shifting gears a little bit, where I want to help other people build their own, social media accounts and online businesses, and just share what I've learned. Things that have worked for me, maybe it'll work for some other people too. And so that's really where we're trying to pivot a little bit into moving forward. So still coach full time, still do all that. Cogorno golf. Someone's in the golf. But where my interest is peaking now is trying to help other people do some of what we did and beyond that, hopefully.
Okay, and you're talking about more of the self-development side and helping others, kind of achieve goals. How did that come about? Was it just you did something cool through golf and you were building your own thing? Like this is kind of bigger than just this, or kind of how did that come about?
Yeah, it was like a series of events, man, depending upon what you believe in. I had like a couple things happen to me all within the same week. The short answer is I was introduced to a guy online named Jim Rohn, Rohn. And gosh, just guy completely changed my life. So I was probably, just to paint a picture, I'm probably 27 at this point. So I had been coaching for a little under, 10 years. Really was like, felt like I was maybe burnt out at this point. So I was coaching all day, every day outside of the mat. And I'm not doing like physical labor digging hole. I'm coaching golf, don't get me wrong, but you're still like, I was kind of just felt burnt out. I'm 27, I feel tired. And I remember thinking to myself, Andy, like, man, I can't, like, I'm not gonna be able to do this when I'm like 50, 60, 70 years old. Like, I can't keep doing this. So this is on like a Wednesday, right? This was on like midweek, this happened. That weekend on Friday, I was getting ready to go out with my buddies. I was in the bathroom doing my hair. I'll never forget it. And my buddy texts me this Tony Robbins video. And I watched it while I was in there, put my little gel in, and it didn't really like do anything for me or move me at all for whatever reason. But right next to it was that recommended video, and it was Jim Rohn. And it was like a 2 hour, the day that turned your life around, this 2 hour Jim Rohn video, which I since watched probably 2 or 3 days a week for the past 8 years. And when you hear someone, man, who like speaks a certain way or says something, and just like everything he said just like hit me so hard, like right in the heart, just the simplicity of everything he was saying. And he said something. So this was the first time I got introduced to personal development. He said something along the lines of you should spend more time working on yourself than you do at your job. Like improve yourself, focus on improving yourself more than you do improving your job. And I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Like I had never heard that before. I was just working my job, working my job. And so through watching him and starting to get obsessed with it, so I'm burnt out on Wednesday. I watched this video on Friday. And then a couple of days later, a video of his goal setting workshop came up. Jim Rohn goal setting workshop. It's still on YouTube. It's like a 3-parter, about an hour long. And well, for whatever reason, I was moved enough. I felt like enough emotions at that point to take action. I did this goal setting workshop, and I had a little yellow legal pad like this, and I just did this workshop he went through. And it was basically about like creating your dream life vision. And I was 27. I went to school, like did well in school, went to college. I never did that before. No one ever told it to me. I never heard it. I never tried it. And it was the first time in my life, man, when I went through and created my dream life vision, which is effectively like, let's say you look out 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the future. I'm like, what would you want your perfect life to look like? Like no logistics, not what you think you could do based on where you're at. Just like if you could have anything you ever wanted, what would that look like? And I had never done that, man. I had never done that. And I started to do that and I wrote that down, man. And I've been doing that on a weekly basis since then. And my life has completely changed. And the power of that, I've just seen firsthand by how I've changed, how my life has changed. Um, like if you would have told me, like a kid from a small town in Pennsylvania, that I'd be living on the beach in South Florida doing what I do now, I would never believe you, And I was never thinking that before, dude. That's the whole point. Like I was never thinking that before. And so I was burnt out. I saw that video. I watched that. I went through this dream life vision, long answer, but I think it's relevant. And then I started to go through, do the math on like, how would I create this dream life? And the only way I could do it, like the math didn't work on me giving one-on-one golf lessons forever. Like I'm not gonna be able to get this dream life. The only way I could do it was to have a bigger audience, have like an online membership, do these golf schools, and YouTube was the only route. And that next week, I met a woman named Mary Langle, who had a PR background, who came in for a golf lesson. And she came in. I used to have these like kids. I used to do these big golf groups. There was like 15, 20 kids. We had music playing, we're busting chops. It was a fun environment. And she's like, Eric, you should do like a golf show or something. Like, this is really cool. And I was like, it's so funny you say that. Because I don't want to, I'm not sure about a golf show, but I'm thinking about doing this YouTube thing. And then that probably a month later, we posted our first video. And so how I got into personal development, the short answer is Jim Rohn. The long answer is that story. And I think that's relevant, right? Because I was in a position where I felt enough to be able to like act on that video. And I think that's like that's a needle mover. So yeah, that's the story, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. First, Jim Rohn's awesome. I'm trying to remember exactly how the quote goes, but it's something along the lines of, "If you don't like something, change it. You're not a tree." Right? So
Yeah, yeah.
he's very good. He was very good at being succinct and just saying something that's very deeply profound, but also very obvious that you're like, oh yeah, that tracks. And to your point, like seeing Tony Robbins, he's super inspiring, he can inspire a lot of people, but then kind of seeing the Jim Rohn and finding what works for you is huge too, because there's not just one person out there doing it. There's a menu of options. People resonate with something different. So that's awesome. Yeah, no, Jim Rohn, uh, super, super great. So yeah.
He's
So
that dude, man. He is that dude.
yeah, no, there's a lot of ones that I'll just go back and re-listen to. I think one of my favorite ones is where he's talking about some people, they're just the naysayers, and you're just going to deal with the naysayers. And some people are the question askers. They're going to be the ones asking questions. So not trying to just fix it, just realize that's who they are, and
Mm.
putting them there. So there's a lot of gold nuggets in everything he said. So awesome. But what do you say your favorite thing is that you're doing now? You're doing a lot, but I guess kind of what's holding your passion?
So we just started a group about a month ago. We've got a group of about 30 golf coaches like me who are looking to expand their business and grow their social media. And I've like consulted people one-on-one before, but never actually put it into like a full, digestible program in a group format. And so that has been awesome to go through. I've been really, really enjoying that. And I love so much what we do, man. Like when I did that dream life vision, I'm very intentional about like the work that I wanted to do, what I want to do every day, how my life is crafted. And so, I do a lot now of the things I want to do. It took years to get there. I didn't snap a finger, of course. But I'm very fortunate to be able to spend a lot of time doing what I like to do now. I love creating YouTube videos. I love the challenge of YouTube. Like, I don't know if you experience this, but with social media, it's like just when I think I got something figured out, I just get smacked across the face with the algorithm. Like, nope, not yet. You got more to do. So it's like a never-ending puzzle to put together. I love coaching golf, at a certain amount. When I felt burnt out, it's interesting. Like you can love something, but not 10 hours a day worth of it. You know what I mean? Like I love doing a little bit of golf coaching. And so that has been great. I love working with people online. I love doing this. Like, you and I would never have met. And who knows what'll come from here. So yeah, lots of good, man. Very fortunate.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's kind of, especially after you've been an entrepreneur for a while, been doing something for a while, you start to notice what the through line is with everything you're doing. There's that one piece that you've really been enjoying the whole time. You're like, why don't I
Mm.
just narrow my focus down to that? Because I've been doing sales, I've been doing, coaching, I've been doing all this stuff, and I've changed my offers or changed what I'm doing over the years. But the through line is this, and it's like that's it. That's so it's recognizing things like that that's super important. So,
So
um, what's
great.
something that if you could go back in time? um, to your younger self or to an entrepreneur starting off? Because you said you are helping other coaches and things like that. What's the advice that you give them every time, or you give yourself moving forward? Not so much that you would change, but just good advice or a stumbling block or a hard learned lesson that you had along the way.
Yeah, if you're going to be able to tell within this interview that I'm so passionate about that dream life vision stuff, because it just changed my life so much, I would have done that sooner. I would have gotten clarity on what I want my dream life to look like earlier. Um, I would have thought bigger sooner. I used to always set goals, Anthony, of like, this is where I'm currently at. And so I'm going to just like, based on my current self, this is what I think I might be able to do next, kind of smaller things. And that served me to a certain point, but then there's a ceiling on that, right? And so one of the things I've learned is you could set really big, nice, huge goals and chunk those down into actionable things, but you can't set small goals and chunk them up. That you can't do. And so I think I was setting the bar too low. So I would say to my younger self, clarity on dream life vision sooner and often. Like can't do that enough. I do it every week. I do it every single week for 8 years. I spend time every day like visualizing that, like manifestation, meditation stuff. I would have started way sooner. Stuff that if you told me that though, here's the kicker. I would have told you like, that feels real woo wooey. Like give me the tactics, bro. Like give me the sales script, give me the this, give me the offer. And I love that too. But I think before a lot of that for me, having a crystal clarity of where I want to go has helped pull me along the struggles along the way. Like when I don't have clarity of what I'm doing, it's just easy to get off track or try this new thing and get distracted or like quit if something's not going well. For me, the clarity of the vision is huge. And most people I talk with don't have that. And I didn't either. Like it's something that needs to be intentional about that. I would set the bar higher sooner. I would have hired help sooner. I would typically, and a lot of us would wait to do something until I thought it was like the perfect time to do it, right? And then as you get older, you realize there never is a perfect time. You have to just put one foot in front of the other. So our business expanded a lot relative to where we were when I started to get some help. You said before there's a through line, right? Things you enjoy doing and things you're good at. Very smart. I didn't know that. In the beginning, you wear all the hats. And so I tried to do everything. And then I realized, hey, this one white hat is probably the only one I should wear. Then how do I get people around me, to be able to help do the other things? I would have done that. I would have done that sooner. And then the last thing I'll say there is I would have got around people who were farther along than me sooner, more often, more frequently, instead of staying in a comfort zone of people that were kind of at my level, business wise, or that I kind of felt good around. Like I would have stretched myself to get around people who were moving and shaking at higher levels sooner. And a lot of that's cliche stuff. But as I get older and more wise, I think like you realize those cliches are cliches for a reason. And it's just like acting on those basic things people talk about.
Yeah, things are definitely cliche for a reason. It's when you're 10, 15, 20 years in that you're looking back and say, "Oh, all of those happened. I definitely should have been talking with people." Well, what's the actual cliche is, your network is your net worth. So I should have been hanging around with people that are at where I want to go so I could ask them questions on how they did it instead of just trying to reinvent the wheel with other folks that are at my level. Where there's people out there, use them as a cheat code, get ahead faster. So a lot of great there. So I might have to go back and take a couple notes too, because it never hurts to rehear it. Um, so, going into 2025, what would you say kind of your average avatar of a client is? Who are you going to be able to help? Who are you looking to help mostly in 2025?
Yeah, I'll cut it in two different parts. I think from a golf perspective, I'm looking for someone who's motivated to improve, usually has felt enough pain that they're willing to act. That's another thing that I realize as I get older and older of like, what's the difference between the people who do and do not? And a lot of it's just like how much pain they're feeling that they're willing to do something about. People run away from pain much more than they run towards pleasure, I've learned. And so I'm looking for people who have felt a struggle from a golf perspective and want to improve, are willing to invest a little bit of time, energy, and money and get some real solutions to get better. I'm all in on finding coaches in every area of my life. Anytime I find a great coach, I get way better. I'm like, oh man, I should have done this sooner. Like I was worried about how much it cost or this, that. It's like, oh gosh, I should have done this sooner. And so I'm trying to play that role for the golf people. And then Anthony, from a personal development perspective, it's funny. I wouldn't say we're at like the top of the hill or the peak in golf. We're pretty far along in our golf business relative to what we do. Starting a new personal development channel, it's funny, like starting from day one again, like starting from zero. And so I'm trying to build up this personal development brand. And so from that perspective, I want people like you and me, and maybe people who are watching this who are interested in improving, who want to get better, who are searching for solutions and answers and want to live a better life. And I don't have all the solutions. I have some things that have worked, some things that haven't, but I love digging into the trenches and figuring it out. And so I want to surround myself with as many people who are like that at whatever level they're at. Like I want to work with someone who's going from 0 to 50 grand a year, and that's crushing for them as much as like 100 million plus sort of person. So I think just the seeking of the improvement is the avatar that I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. In to an earlier point too, it is kind of cliche too when you're talking about coaches and people being able to help you in different parts of your life because it's like maybe not yet. When I can put X Y Z into it, then I'll do it. But then you look at the cliche and it's always I wish I would have done it sooner, because the one thing we can't have more of is time. So getting good at what you need to be good at now as opposed to in a year or 2 years, because it's just natural law. The longer you have to work on something, the better at it you're going to get. Whether it's starting investing young, everybody knows, oh, if I started at 18, where would I be now? I'd have an extra $1 million or what. It's the same exact thing with, educating yourself and developing yourself and becoming who you want to be, doing it quicker, act sooner, get better faster. Right? So, it's
Yeah.
awesome. So you mentioned, growing your network and, finding other people who are like good power partners that you've worked well with in the past, different industries, different coaches, people that might synergize well with what you're doing.
Yeah, I just want to hit on the coach thing. I think it's interesting, and then I'll answer that one. I think it's interesting with the coaching, where oftentimes I would say, I'm not going to do the coaching because I maybe can't afford it yet. When in fact, the reality was like I couldn't afford it because I wasn't doing the coaching. I had that backwards essentially. Easier to say when you've got money now compared to when you don't. But I've been on both ends of that, at both ends of that spectrum. So lots of good points there. Yeah, so people for me now, obviously with the way things are, you can learn from afar from people. So like a lot of we can watch people online, don't have to physically be with them in person. And so like guys that I watch now that I really admire, that I learn a lot from, Patrick Bet David's one of them. Like I think do you know Patrick Bet David at all? You familiar with him at all?
Mildly.
Yeah. So like he is just a stud of a guy and a human being. He's only like 10 years older than me. And I look at him and I'm like, he's got to be like 30 years beyond me. The way he speaks, walks, acts, handles himself is just to me like just a stud of a guy. So I like him a lot. He built a big insurance company, sold it for a couple $100 million. He's building this media company, Valuetainment, there in Fort Lauderdale. Stud of a guy. Alex Hormozy has been very popular as of the past couple of years. I love him and watch a lot of his stuff in terms of building offers and building our businesses. I watched Alex Hormozy randomly a couple of years ago. I was searching, like doing sales calls. He had started YouTube. He maybe had like 3,000 subscribers. And I randomly came across this video. He was in like like a closet, like this, like kind of a weird looking video. And I watched it and I never commented on YouTube video ever in my whole life, never one time as a YouTube guy. And I watched his video and it was so damn good, dude. I felt compelled. I commented on it and I was like, dude, I think you're going to be like one of the thought leaders of our generation. It was so good. Not to kind of tap myself on the back, but that was a nice early call. Now he's got a couple million subscribers. So I like his tactical information a lot. I like Patrick Bet David just as a like modeling my life around. When I first started, I watched a lot of Grant Cardone and Gary Vaynerchuk. Those are guys that are kind of hot in the space when I was in there 2016, 17-ish, 18, I guess, 15, 16, 17. So like 10X rule, like crush it. Like those were influential for me early on. And then people that I'm with now, like I try and have some people in my life in different industries who are more seasoned than me, whether that be by age and like they've gone through things. I'm a member at a gym where I'm at down here, Lighthouse Point. A lot of successful people around here. And dude, just going in and like asking the guys in the gym who are like 50, 60, 70 years old questions, things they've gone through. Like I think I know some stuff, and I'm like, man, this guy's been through 30 years more of shit than me. That has been a unexpected, really cool thing. There again, the power of being around people. I didn't join that gym to like be around these people. They just happened to be there. Then I've got a close personal friend who runs $100 million a year online business that I asked for a lot of advice, which has been very helpful.
Yeah, having a variety of people that you can work with is always nice too. So you're not just stuck looking in one direction, like you said. In your early years, you're looking at your Grant Cardones, your Gary V's, and now it's Alex Hormozy's. um, because you don't know what's going to work for you. It's kind of like what I mentioned earlier about having a menu of options. It's kind of important to take a look at everybody and pick up pieces that you wouldn't otherwise notice because, one person's really going to be really good at wearing this hat, but you need more than that when it comes to business and growth. You need to cover a lot of different areas. We're not just solo minded, even if we are trying to niche our business. So being able to look at different industries, at different people, and kind of pick and choose what's been working for them and put it in, try it in your business is super, super valuable just because, yeah, businesses are varied, but a lot of the stuff carries over. You're dealing with a lot of the same problems as a coach as somebody that's starting, like e-commerce or starting in insurance or whatever it is. We're dealing with similar problems, just slightly different. So that's super important to have varied experiences. So we're at a time of the year where everybody's looking at New Year's and resolutions, and this will be coming out sometime, January, early February. So we're kind of in that space. What advice can you give somebody that wants to crush 2025?
Yeah. So beyond writing down like this is what I want to accomplish, it's so important to attach a really clear why to it. So we talked before about like, hey, people act when they feel enough pain, myself included. You're going to be more likely to do something when you feel a lot of pain versus running towards the pleasure. And so, like, when I write goals down that I don't have a clear why, it just maybe would be nice to do, low odds of success. But when I write a goal down that's based on a pain point that I really feel, and there's like ideally an emotional why behind it, high odds of success, right? So, like, one example I'll give you, my dad died when I was 20. And so my mom was by herself, right? And I didn't have any money growing up. And so I set some goals initially to start coaching and make some money to be able to take care of my mom. Big emotional why, right? Like crush those goals. But if I've got like, think about the emotional attachment to a goal like that, right? Like the odds of success there are very high compared to just, oh, yeah, it'd be nice to buy a Ferrari. Like there's got to be an attachment to it. And sometimes that's, life serves you that up on a platter and gives you a difficult situation. And then you're really motivated. You kind of don't want that difficulty, but you kind of do, right? In terms of the growth that you get from it. And so really searching for the why. And I would say if you don't have a strong why, don't write it down. Like if you don't have a why there associated with it, I wouldn't write it down. I think it's good to set bars and keep stretching and raising. But like if I set financial goals for 2025, I've got a very clear why I want to do that. That might be attached to a bigger 10-year goal, right? Whatever that is. I want to have X amount of dollars for complete financial freedom. I want to be able to help my family. I want to be able to give whatever it's for. I think there's got to be strong emotional whys. And I think whoever's listening, if they struggled to be able to attain those goals they wrote down, if we're being honest with ourselves, there probably was not a strong emotional why to it. One of the things I mentioned earlier about this dream life vision I did from Jim Rohn, you take a piece of paper and you write down 50 things that you might want in your future. No logistics, not what you think you get, but what would be incredible to have. And then you write down, what year, how many years you think it would take you to get it, 1, 3, 5, 10. And then after you write down why you want it. And it's that why part that's the big needle mover. And so I would write down less things and then more whys would be my advice.
Yep. No, that's what's going to carry you, because the why sticks with you. It could change over time, but not a lot. It's gonna be there. So we're like I said, we're coming into the New Year's. A lot of us are going to fail. That's just a part of life. That's a part of growing. That's a part of literally everything we're going to do. We're going to fail at it. A lot of people, they'll fail and they're like, okay, well, I've screwed up this entire year. I'll start 2026. So what advice do you have for people that have fallen off the bandwagon? Maybe they have a good why, but it's just they're kind of stuck in that routine of I try, I fail, I give up, I'll try again later. So what do you tell those people that have fallen off the bandwagon for their new year, for their goals, for whatever it is, to encourage them to get back on sooner, not just waiting, an allotted amount of time. Oh, I'll start Monday because I failed on Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've been there, man. Been there many times. I think there's two different strategies there. One, on one hand, I would say, hey, if you've got a year-long goal, let's say it's a year-long thing, the idea with a year-long goal is you would chunk that down. So just let's go super simple here. Hey, I want to be able to make $120,000 this year. That means I got to be able to make $10,000 per month every month to get to 120, right? If I want to make 10 grand a month, I've got to make what, $2,500 per week. If I want to make $2,500 per week, right, I got to make $500 per day. So I would have a big goal that's chunked so far down, right? So that, hey, if I miss a single week of that goal, I'm just early in the first quarter, literally and figuratively. I've got a lot of time left to make that up. So if my goal is to make 10 grand a month, and in month one, I only made three, just because I made only three in month one doesn't mean I can't make more in month 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, right? So I think if you set a nice longer goal and you chunk it down, you have to have that perspective of hey, if I don't have a good month in month one, I can have a good month in 2, 3, 4. Now the caveat there is you have to be able to have figure out why did I go off track? Why did I have that bad month and only make 3 grand? Like I've got to actually go back and look and do some work there, right? There's no easy solutions here. So that'd be one way. Big enough goal, perspective that you're very early on, chunk it down. The other theory would be to maybe not even set the long goal in the first place and set shorter term stuff. That way, if you fall off and you're off of a 12-week goal or 1 month goal, no big deal. I can have a new set of 12 weeks, 1 month, whatever. I'm a big long-term vision guy. That works for me. Maybe that doesn't work for other people. I like setting really long, I'm talking 10, 20-year goals, and then chunk them down into yearly, monthly, daily. And so if I go off track and I have a bad week, I'm like 1 week out of my next 20 years, I've got the perspective that that's not that important. Like I'm going to be okay if I have a bad week. It didn't ruin my 20-year goal. But if I've got a 1 week goal and I have a bad week, I'm in trouble there. And so for me, the answer there, man, is attaching my short-term stuff to some big long-term stuff. And then hey, it's okay. I could be losing the first quarter 10-0 and come back and win the game. Easy. So it takes some perspective there. I'm not saying any of that's easy to do. I've got bad days like everyone else. For me, what pulls me, like I mentioned earlier on, is the clarity of that dream life vision. Remember, I mentioned you're going to hear that I'm really into that. My clarity and emotional attachment to where I want to go in 10 or 20 years pulls me through a bad day, week, month. So I think it's so good to start there. That way it can pull someone else forward as well.
Yeah, that's great advice, especially if you are planning long term. You're going to have bad weeks. Going in, some weeks are going to be bad. You're going to be sick. You're going to, not be able to, you're going to have other responsibilities come up. So, on average, this is where our average needs to be in order to hit that long range goal. And it could be completely different if you meet one person at one point in the next 10 years that could accelerate you. That Jim Rohn experience where you're like, this is where I've been for a while. I heard this and now I'm, accelerating. So it doesn't take a lot of that. And you're playing the long game, like you said. So what's one piece of advice you'd give people that they can do every day to, hit their goals in the future?
Yeah, imagine them as if you already have them is the short, sweet, non-sexy, most effective thing to that from in my perspective. So I spend, and these are things that work for me. You know what I mean? Like I don't know for sure. I think it's worth trying. Um, I set those long goals and then I spend 10, 15 minutes every day visualizing them as done, meaning I'm already there. I already have it. For example, I visualize having this like house by the beach. And so what that would mean was like I visualized not only what it looks like, I visualized me like standing outside on the balcony, feeling the wind, smelling the sand, hearing the noises. I felt like what my body would feel like sitting on the chair in my bathing suit. I'm talking like in detail. And again, 10 year ago me, I'd have been like, that's woo wooey shit, dude. Give me the tactics. But it's worked so well for me. Like I can't help but believe that it has such a tremendous effect. So I'm leaning full into that because I've seen the fruits of that. I've yet to do that and really, really visualize something and feel it and not get it. I'm talking pretty close to 100% success rate here. So that's non-sexy, but I think highly effective would be to take your timer out on your phone and put it on for 10 minutes and make a commitment to do this at least once a week. I would try and do it daily, where you sit down and think about what your dream life could look like and go far enough out where anything's possible. Like not everything's possible for me 3 months from now. Like 90 days, I'm not getting to $1 billion. There's just probably not any way that's happening. But when you're thinking like 10, 20 years, you kind of almost anything on the list is like, well, there's a chance. Like something could happen. So I would go far enough out and sit down 10 minutes on the phone, or 10-minute timer on the phone, as close to daily as you can, and really feel what it would feel like if you had those things. That is probably the best piece of advice in any category that I could give.
It's absolutely worth trying. Even if it doesn't work for them, they now know that doesn't work for me. I'm going to try
The
something
risk.
else.
What's the risk?
There's again, there's a menu of options. You've been eating chicken nuggets your whole life. Maybe try a steak. Try it out. If you don't like it, great. Now you don't order it again. So perfect. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. That was great, man. I love your perspective on things. I think you and I could have some really good banter back and forth and riff on some things, which is fun. No, man, I think that dream life vision stuff, especially getting into 2025, if someone wants to live better. If I could go back and talk to myself when I was younger, I would tell him two things. I would say, do that dream life vision and then do the daily visualization. And to me, nothing else is even close to mattering as those two things. So I'm glad we got to cover that.
Perfect. What's the best way that people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so Eric Cogorno Golf. Good Lord, year nine. I didn't know the title. Eric Cogorno Golf is our YouTube channel. Can contact me. All my info's through there. That's like where you could see what we actually do. Like the proof is in the pudding. How we do titles, thumbnails, sell stuff online. Like if you're someone in that space, you want to actually see that sort of stuff, and keep me honest. And then lessons I've learned with Eric Cogorno is our new YouTube channel, personal development that we did this year, which is like if you like this sort of topics, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about on there.
Perfect. If anybody'd like to get in touch with Eric, absolutely do it. You're going to walk away knowing more than you started. You're either going to, find something that works for you or, check something off your list that, hey, this isn't quite for me, but now you know, and it's not a question mark anymore. So if you're thinking about getting a hold of Eric, absolutely do it. If you're a little bit more shy, you can ask me. I'm more than happy to make an introduction for you. But yeah, feel free to reach out to him. I'll put all his links in the description so he's easy to find. If anybody out there would like to get in touch with me or like to be interviewed, feel free. I'll have my link tree in the description as well. So grab a time. I'd love to have a conversation. But other than that, Eric, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your experiences, pouring into us. I think there's a lot of great nuggets in here. Like I said, I'm gonna have to go back and probably take a couple notes myself because some really cool things that you can't really listen to once to catch it all. So really appreciate it. Let's all get out there. Let's start improving on ourselves this year and get to know some more people. All right.